श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारी बरनो रघुबर बिमल जसो जो दायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर। राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवारि सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन बिराज सुबेशा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केशा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा बिराजे कांधे मूंज जनेहु साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा बिकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि संभाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे अस कहीं श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कौबिद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपत दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। युग सहस्त्र जो जन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मोद्रिका मैली मुख माहि जलधि लांगी गए अचरज नाहि। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरणा तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज समारो आपे तीनों लोक हाकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हरे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हरे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबरपुर जाहि जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्त न धरहि, हनुमत से ही सर्व सुख करहि। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्ध साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाथ हृदय वह डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसो सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय, बोलो रे भाई सब संतन की जय। बाल सबे रवि भक्ष लियो, तब तीनों लोक भयो अधियारो। बाल सबे रवि भक्ष लियो, तब तीनों लोक भयो अधियारो। ताई सो त्रास भयो जग को, यह संकट काहू सो जात न टारो। ताही सो त्रास भयो जग को, यह संकट काहू सो जात न टारो। देवन आदि करि बिनती, देवन आदि करि बिनती, तब छाड़ दियो रवि कष्ट निवारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। बाली की त्रास कपिस बसे गिरी, बाली की त्रास कपिस बसे गिरी। जात महा प्रभु पत निहारो। चौकी बाहा मुनि शाप दियो, तब चाहिए कौन विचार विचारो। चौकी बाहा मुनि शाप दियो, तब चाहिए कौन विचार विचारो। क्वेद रूप लिवाए महाप्रभु, क्वेद रूप लिवाए महाप्रभु। सो तुम दास के शोक निवारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। अंगद के संग लेन गए सिय, खोज कपि से ये बैरी उचारो। अंगद के संग लेन गए सिय, खोज कपि से ये बैन उचारो। जीवित ना बचियो हम सोजु बिना सुधि लाए इया पगुधारो। जीवित ना बची हो हम सोजो बिना सुधि लाए इया पगुधारो। हेरी टके टट सिद्धू सबे तब, हेरी टके टट सिद्धू सबे तब, लाए सिया सुधि प्राण उबारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। रावण त्रास दही सिय को, सब राक्षसी सो कहे शोक निवारो। रावण त्रास दही सिय को, सब राक्षसी सो कहे शोक निवारो। ताही सवे हनुमान महाप्रभु, जाए महारच नीचर मारो। ताही सबे हनुमान महाप्रभु, जाए महारज नीचर मारो। चाहत सिए अशोक सुहागी, चाहत सिए अशोक सुहागी। सो दे प्रभु मुद्रिका शोक निवारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। चाहत सिए अशोक सुहागी, सुदे प्रभु मुद्रिका शोक निवारो। कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो। बाण लग्यो उर लक्ष्मण के, तब प्राण तजे सुत रावण मारो। बाण लग्यो उर लक्ष्मण के, तब प्राण तजे सुत रावण बारो ले ग्रह भेद सुषेण समेत तबे गिरि द्रोण सुबीर उपारो ले ग्रह भेद सुषेण समेत तबे गिरि द्रोण सुबीर उपारो आदि सजीवन हाथ दही तब आदि सजीवन हाथ दही तब लक्ष्मण के तुम प्राण उबारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो रावण युद्ध अजान कियो तब नाग की फांस सबे सिर डारो रावण युद्ध अजान कियो तब नाग की फांस सबे सिर डारो श्री रघुनाथ समेत सबे दल मोह भयो यह संकट भारो श्री रघुनाथ समेत सबे दल मोह भयो यह संकट भारो आदि खगेश तबे हनुमान आदि खगेश तबे हनुमान जो बंधन काटी सूत्रास निवारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कभी संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कभी संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो बंधु समेत जबे अहि रावण ले रघुनाथ पाताल सिधारो बंधु समेत जबे अहि रावण ले रघुनाथ पाताल सिधारो देवी ही पूजी भली विधि सौ बलि देहु सबे बेली मंत्र विचारो देवी ही पूजी भली विधि सो बलि देहु सबे बेली मंत्र विचारो जाय सहाय भयो तब ही जाय सहाय भयो तब ही अहि रावण सैन्य समेत सहारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो काज किए बड़ देवन के तुम वीर महाप्रभु देखी विचारो काज किए बड़ देवन के तुम वीर महाप्रभु देखी विचारो कौन सो संकट मोर गरीब को जो तुम सो नहीं जात है टारो कौन सो संकट मोर गरीब को जो तुम सो नहीं जात है टारो बेगी हरो हनुमान महाप्रभु बेगी हरो हनुमान महाप्रभु जो कछु संकट होए हमारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कपि संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो काज किए बड़ देवन के तुम वीर महाप्रभु देखी विचारो कौन सो संकट मोर गरीब को जो तुम सो नहीं जात है टारो बेगी हरो हनुमान महाप्रभु बेगी हरो हनुमान महाप्रभु जो कछु संकट होए हमारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कभी संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कभी संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो कौन ही जानत है जग में कभी संकट मोचन नाम तिहारो लाल देह लालील से अरुधरी लाल लगूर वज्र देह दानव दलन जय 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 कपिशूर पवन सुत हनुमान की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय बाल सबे रवि भक्ष लियो. At that time also there was darkness all around. And when the devas came and they prayed to him, he let the sun go. Whenever darkness comes, what should we do? We have to think about Sri Hanuman. But what bhav should be there when we are thinking about Sri Hanuman? Hanumanji stands for bhakti. Whenever bhakti comes in, the darkness goes away and the sunshine returns. This is what the shloka is trying to say, this Hanuman Chalisa is trying to say. Hanumanji is pratyaksh bhakti. And when there is bhakti and faith in our hearts, can there be any room for darkness? Can there be any room for fear? Can there be any room for doubt? No, right? Let's sing the Avahan Bhajan. राधे कृष्ण की ज्योत अलौकिक तीनों लोकों में छाए रही है। राधे कृष्ण की ज्योत अलौकिक तीनों लोकों में छाए रही है। भक्ति विवश एक प्रेम पुजारिन फिर भी दीप जलाए रही है। भक्ति विवश एक प्रेम पुजारिन फिर भी दीप जलाए रही है। कृष्ण को गोकुल से राधे को, कृष्ण को गोकुल से राधे को बरसाने से बुलाए रही है। दोनों करो स्वीकार, कृपा कर जोगन आरती गाए रही है। दोनों करो स्वीकार, कृपा कर जोगन आरती गाए रही है। भोर भय ते साँझ ढले तक, भोर भय ते साँझ ढले तक सेवा को नित नेम हमारा। स्नान कराए वो वस्त्र ओढ़ाए, वो भोग लगाए वो लागत प्यारा। स्नान कराए वो वस्त्र ओढ़ाए, वो भोग लगाए वो लागत प्यारा। कब तेरी हारत आपकी ओर, कब तेरी हारत आपकी ओर की आप हमारी ओर निहारो। राधे कृष्ण हमारे धाम को जाने वृंदावन धाम पधारो। राधे कृष्ण हमारे धाम को जाने वृंदावन धाम पधारो। राधे कृष्ण हमारे धाम को जाने वृंदावन धाम पधारो। What we'll do is, we'll start with the explanation, right? And then before we end the session, we'll chant the entire 31st verses of chapter 1 and then end the session. So where are we? We are at verse number 33 has been done. We are at verse number 34 and 35, right? And so far we analyzed actually chapter 1, Arjun Vishad Yoga. Again and again I'm reminding you, is one of the most essential chapters of Geeta. And which other chapter we have to read through while we are doing chapter 1? It is chapter 16 of Geeta. So, whoever is starting today, I would request you to kindly visit chapter 16 of Geeta, just run through the translation and then come back to chapter 1. Because in chapter 1, we are analyzing the virtues, the vasanas, the vices. Then we are analyzing what makes a person strong, what makes a person weak. We are analyzing the perspective with which we look at the world. Many a times, the flaw is not in the world outside. The flaw is in our perspective. And our thought processes and our perspectives are very conditioned. That is what happens, right? From the very beginning, our conditioning starts. As soon as we are born, it starts. Because still we are in our mother's womb, we are praying to Lord, telling Him that please get us out of this hell. And once you help me get out of this hell, I will devote my entire existence, my entire birth, my entire life in your Simran. Because I know outside there is Maya, it is futile. And there are certain souls who don't want to come out also because they know that inside the womb they are trapped in hell. It is burning, it is uncomfortable, but they know the minute they enter the world, Maya is going to take charge, she is going to take over, and they are going to forget Sri Hari. That is what has happened, right? And then once we enter the world, what happens? Depending on our parents, depending on our surroundings, depending on our circumstances, depending on our upbringing, depending on the people we come in touch with, the situations we come in touch with, we start getting conditioned. So it is like a pure energy which starts being covered by veils of conditioning depending on different situations. Now you can see two souls born in the same family could be different, you might say now. If that is the conditioning that matters, then why are two people born in the same? Because there is another element which comes in play. It is their vasanas and their samskars also. So their vasanas and their samskars also determine how an individual is going to be. But a lot of the conditioning also happens because of the environment, the people, and all those things we talked about. So basically, we are conditioned and we have our underlying sanskars and vasanas also, right? So when this conditioning is happening, it is like building a foundation, right? And the building is just as strong as the foundation. When I was a child, I have heard this poem and it is so close to my heart. I'll share it with you. It is the poem about the neev ki eat. We see the imarats, right? We see the long, tall buildings standing, but we do not know that first neev ki eat. It is that brick or that foundation which is holding this tall building. Without that neev ki eat, or if that foundation is shaken, what will happen? The entire building, entire construction on top of that will fall. Khatam ho jayega. So, what is very important? The building blocks which is below, the foundation. And if the foundation is faulty, will the building be sturdy? No. Simple, right? It is the same thing with us. If our foundation is faulty, our vision will be faulty. Because the world appears different to every individual. No two individuals see the world alike. No two individuals see the situations alike. No two individuals are alike. That is why in Sanatana Dharma, we always say, as many individuals, that many paths. Mind you, Hinduism is not a religion. It is a way of life. And that is why when we look at our scriptures unendingly, they give us various examples telling us that no two paths, no two journeys on the spiritual path have to be alike. It cannot be. It is a very personal journey. And if you think about it, all the individual journeys were personal only. The religions which are following the gurus, before the guru was the religion, before the guru became enlightened, was he following a particular religion? No, right? He became enlightened, and so the Buddhists call the enlightenment of Buddha as Buddhism, the Sikhs call the enlightenment of Guru Nanak as Sikhism, the Hindus called our religion as Hinduism. When you go to Islam, we look at their prophet and we say they called it Islam. So initially, if you go back to the first person, it was a path. It was a personal path. So the personal spiritual journey, when it is converted into a religion, it binds the masses. Because then we get restricted. Sanatana Dharma will never restrict anybody. Everybody can have a mind of your own. So over here, we talked about the foundation, right? If the foundation is shaken, foundation is false, foundation is not sturdy, whatever we build over the foundation would not be sturdy, right? So, over here, Arjun, we realize, is building his entire argument on a false premise. He's building his entire argument on a false premise. False assumptions, false notions, and false outlook. How? And what is the false outlook? We have discussed it in great depth. The false outlook is his vision. He is looking at the world, he is looking at everybody from what perspective? Deha perspective. He has started looking at everybody as this person, identifying that person with the body, right? I am fighting with so and so. Over here, when you look at this verse, let's just read this verse and try to understand it. Acharyah pitarah putrastheva. Acharyah pitarah putrastheva cha pitamaha. Batula shvashura patra shala sambandhinas tatha. So over here he is talking about Acharya is the teacher. He's saying the people who are standing in front of me, that is the Acharya. So he is looking at everybody from the Deha perspective. So over here, as he said, Acharya. Acharya is by teacher. Now he is telling Sri Krishna, what is the scenario? We all know, right? The chariot is standing in the middle of the battlefield. Initially, till verse 20, Arjun was very strong. He was looking at everything. He was confident about his valor. He had done a lot of tapasya, all that we have discussed in great depth. And now, when Sri Krishna suddenly said, what was the turning point of Arjun from a confident to a broken person? Was when Sri Krishna identified that this side of the battle or that side of the battle, everybody belongs to you only, Arjun. It is all your family. So at the end of the battle, if anybody dies, it is your loss only. Don't think that this is mine, this side of the battlefield where the Pandava army is standing is mine, and that side of the battlefield where the Kaurava army is standing is theirs, is Duryodhan's army. No, you are all Kauravas. So he says that is when Arjun realizes that, oh my goodness, I'll be fighting amongst my own people, right? And because he had this Deha Bhan, initially also his foundation was wrong, right? He was strong, he was very, very optimistic, but the thing of mine and thine was there in his mind. My army, their army. My people, their people. My relations, not my relations. So, initially also his foundation was not based on dharma. His foundation was not based on the spirit or the divinity inside or the sin inside somebody. What he was fighting against was the people. So, Deha Bhanta. And that was what he was fighting against. Later on, when they identified that all these are the same, again the battle was Deha Bhan only, right? It was based on the body battle only. So now he said all are mine. So now he's saying over here that those are my teachers, Acharya. My Acharyas are standing in front of me, and is it right to go against a teacher? We are meant to serve our teachers, isn't it? We are not meant to offend them. We are meant to be grateful towards them. We are meant to serve them. And here I am standing to attack my own teacher, Dronacharya. And then he says, then he talks about Pitraha. When he is talking about Pitraha, he is saying all those our father-like people are standing in front of us. Everybody, they are as respectful to me as my own father. And come on, Sri Krishna, tell me, is a son supposed to revere the father or attack the father? Is a child supposed to stand against the father in battle? Is it right? And then Putraha. He says all across the battlefield, my sons are there. This side of the battlefield and that side of the battlefield. They are innocent, young children. Are we supposed to take care of them and love them? Or are we supposed to let them be destroyed? Right? And then he says, Pitabaha. And then he's talking about Pitabaha also. My grandfather, great-grandfathers. No matter what, we are not supposed to hold weapons in front of them. He's naming each and every person. Why? Because Sri Krishna so far is not even responding to any of his arguments, because he knows that the very basis of the argument is wrong. It is totally baseless. So he is not encouraging him. He is sitting there on the chariot quietly, just giving Arjun a blank look. So every time he looks at the blank look without any approval, we seek approval, right? We want approval for whatever we do in our lives, isn't it? We want full approval of whatever we do. We want people to appreciate, approve, acknowledge. When there is no appreciation, acknowledgement, what do we have? What happens to us? We get agitated. And when we get agitated, we go on and seek and give explanations so that we get a positive remark from the person. Nobody seeks a negative remark. Everybody wants a yes man around them. And Shri Krishna here is not behaving like a yes man. He's a true friend. Why would he say yes to something which is totally faulty? Then he names Matulaha, all my mamas. Right? My mamas are standing all around me. Should we harm them? They are my mother's brothers. Some on this part of the battlefield, some on that part of the battlefield. Both will die. What use is this battle, Shri Krishna? Why? He's explaining. He's defending himself. He's operating in a defensive manner, telling him there is a big logical reason why I should not fight and I should run away from the battlefield. I should give up the battle. I should not fight. There is no use. I should give away and run away because I cannot commit the sin of killing my relatives. I cannot commit the sin of killing my putra. I cannot commit the sin of killing my pitamaha. I cannot commit the sin of killing my mama. I cannot commit the sin of killing my in-laws, my Sasur. Sasur is there. Those are the fathers of my wives. How will my wives feel? How will the children feel when they know that their Nana is no more? Patra, grandchildren are also standing on the battlefield. Just imagine. Not only his children, his grandchildren. And grandchildren are so dear. They are dearer than our children themselves, right? So grandchildren are standing, he says. And Shala, my wife's brothers are. So is it right to fight a battle where they get harmed? On both sides. The brothers of our wives are standing. And there are so many other relations, sambandhi, friends. We have grown up with them. And what does he go on to say? These people are standing. Right? These are our dear and near ones. And we do not want to fight against them. If you look at it for once, you'll say Arjun is so compassionate. He's so loving. He has a great big heart. But is that the case? Let's analyze it further and we'll understand. Then he goes on to say, Etan hantu bechami gnatopi madhusudana api trailokya rajasya heto kim nu mahikrite. He says, these people, my loving dear and dear ones, my relations, my blood relation, my soul relation, my friends, they all, even if they want to kill me, even if they want to destroy me, even if they don't think good about me, even if they have been vicious in the past, yet I do not want to harm them. I do not want to fight this battle. I do not think it is right to be vengeful. do not think it is right to harbor hatred. See, Arjun is now suddenly giving us big yarn about vices. Why harbor revenge? Why harbor hatred? What happened then? Before, when the battle was being planned, he could have these thoughts before also, right? Why suddenly, when in the middle of the battlefield, that also till he was in the middle of the battlefield, he did not have these thoughts. Why suddenly these thoughts have cropped in? Why? Because Sri Krishna said, ultimately, the loss is yours. He was attached to one part of the army and he was detached to the other part of the army. Suddenly, the entire army on the Kurubhumi has become his. So, is love speaking or attachment speaking? It is attachment speaking. It is not love speaking. It is not generosity speaking over here. If he would have been so generous, the battle would have never happened. He would have said, Jane do, we do not want anything, we'll go back to the jungles. Even after being convinced by everybody. No, but at that time, until in Geeta also till verse number 20-21, he was willing to fight. See? So this is not generosity, this is not kindness or gratitude or love. This is pure attachment. And attachment, what does attachment do? Attachment pulls us down. Mind you, love and attachment are not interchangeable. Love is divine, attachment is vile. Love is selfless, attachment is selfish. Over here, he is looking at people saying, Ye mere Pitamaha hai. If he was not my Pitamaha, I would be okay to kill him. If Bhishma Pitamaha was not Arjun's Pitamaha, he would have been okay to kill him. If those people standing around him were not his brothers, he would be okay to kill them. So what he is emphasizing on is relationships. So now he says, even if these relations, my people, decide to kill me also, I would not want to harm them. And that also for what he says? For this piece of land on earth, even if api trailokya rajyasya, even if I get the jas of the three lokas, trailok bhi mujhe de de, I will not kill them. He refused to talk, he refused to fight, he put down his weapons. Is this right? Or is this wrong? Or let's not define it as right and wrong, let's analyze it further. Now, what Arjun is trying to say is, whatever they have done, whatever be the situation, I'm not going to fight my relations. If we try to understand it further, there are three things that are coming in play over here. The three things are Kaam, Krodh and Lobh. Desires, anger and greed. And if you see the entire battle that we go through in life is also for our benefit, to gain benefit and joy, and to avoid sorrow and loss. Right? The entire pursuit of our life is to gain joy and benefit, to avoid loss and sorrow. Right? Whatever is good for us, we pursue it. Whatever we think is bad for us, is harming us, or is making us sorrowful, or is hurting us, we want to shun. Right? These are the two battles. The entire life, if you just simplify it and see, our entire life is based on only these two premises. We get attracted towards what we think is good for us, what we think makes us happy, and we get actually repelled by what we think makes us sad and what distracts us or distresses us. So he's saying that all this is a result of one simple problem. Desires, Kaam. Kya kaam hai? Their desires for land and our desires to get our land back. Had we not, now Arjun is trying to say, had we not coaxed them to give us our land back, they would not have fought with us. Right? And even if they want to desire the entire land, how can I be bothered? So why I am willing to let go of my desire for land. I am not going to fight this battle because this desire is bad, he's saying, and it leads to It leads to conflicts. So had we not troubled them, they would not have come to fight us in the battlefield. And now, if their desires would have been met, simply, just look at the analogy. If our desires are not met, what happens to us? If we cannot get what we want, lobh, right? We have a desire. There is a feeling that we want something, okay? And then what do? We want to get it, that greed. And we want more, and we want more. Suppose there is a kamna and you have a lobe to get it and to realize it, but you are not able to fulfill. What will happen? Anger. Simple, isn't it? So over here, Arjun is saying, because they desired the land, they were greedy for the land, there was lobe for the land, we threatened to snatch it away. That is why they got angry and so they are fighting with us. Krodh utpan ho gaya. Dvesh utpan ho gaya. That is why they want to fight with us. Had we not interfered, this would not have happened. Right? And if you again reverse it for us also, we desired land, right? Hence we are fighting. We also became lobby. We became greedy. We wanted land. And because of that, we got angry. Because they did not stand up to our desires. They insulted us. So we got angry. So all that is happening is because of krodh. Ultimately, and as we know, anger makes waste, right? Anger, whenever you get angry, you cannot think straight. So Arjun is saying we all are not thinking straight because Kam, Krodh and Lobh have clouded our visions. But I have suddenly awakened. In the middle of the battlefield, I have suddenly awakened. I respect all these people. All these people are mine. Hence, I am not going to give in to Krodh. See, this phenomena is also very common in our lives. Just think. When do we get angry? When we have an expectation or a desire, right? We want that expectation or a desire to be met. And when that does not happen, if some people don't stand up to our expectations or we are unable to meet our own expectations, we get upset and angry. It is a vicious circle. So you can try not to get angry. You can say, "मैं गुस्सा नहीं करूँगा," but till there is calm and lobh, you'll be just suppressing your anger. So should you attack your anger, or should you go a step back and we should look at the desire element. किस चीजों की? What is the cause of this anger? Anger is not a cause. Anger is just happening. You have to go back. It is a reaction to something. So what do we have to attack? We have to attack our desires. Where am I going wrong? What desire is not being met? What is causing anger? Why am I greedy for something? Why am I expecting something? See, the entire battle of Kurukshetra happens in us also. And the battle is simply not with us because we are the witnesses. That is something we'll explain now. We are the witnesses. We are not even involved. The battle is always between whom? The ego and the expectations. When we expect, when we desire, when we want, when it is not met by us or by the other people or circumstances, our ego gets hurt. And when our ego gets hurt, the ego gets angry. And we think that we are expecting and people are hurting us. No, the battle is between the expectations and the ego. We are not involved at all. Distance yourself. Now Arjun has been unable to distance himself. It seems as though he has distanced himself. He is not able to because the foundation, as I said, is wrong. What is the foundation of Kurukshetra battle? It is a dharma yudh happening on a dharma bhumi. It is not a yudh between people in the families. It is a battle between dharma and adharma. That foundation was not there suddenly. The foundation was, they wronged me, hence we are fighting. That piece of land, hence we are fighting. And that is when suddenly, when he was awakened to the fact that he is fighting amongst his own people, he got shaken up. It's very important. Ponder upon what is being said. Take a pencil and a paper and write all the points and analyze it, keeping your situation and your life. Doesn't this is exactly what happens to us? When do we become weak? When there is a battle of principles, you don't become weak. When somebody has done something, suppose somebody says something wrong to you, or let's simply take Jesus. He's the best when he says, hate the sin, not the sinner. He is separating these two, right? The sinner and the sin are two different things. So we are supposed to hate the not the sinner. But what do we end up doing? Many a times we end up hating a person so much, we despise that person so much, and after a few years, if somebody asks us, why do you dislike that person so much? Why do you hate that person so much? Why do you despise that person so much? You would say, I don't remember, but I do. So, galat ho gaya na? You were supposed to not like what had happened. Condemn probably the wrong that was done according to you, not the person. You should have been neutral towards the person. You should have been normal towards the person. ऐसे के लिए कहते हैं ना, सोना सज्जन साधुजन, सोना सज्जन साधुजन, टूटे जुड़े 100 बार, दुर्गम कुंभ कुमार के एक झटके आए दरार. Soda, Sajjan, Sadhujan. Gold and the Sajjan people, who are very, very pure at heart. And the Sadhus who know that we are the witness and not this body. Soda, Sajjan, Sadhujan, Tute Jude Sobar. Just like gold, you can break it, make it into different things, burn it again, put it together. You can actually make it's so malleable that it can be broken, it can be made into different things and again put together and made into different things. Nothing happens to it. Soda, Sajjan, Sadhujan, Tute Jude Sobar, Durgam Kumbh Kumar ke ek jhatke aaye darar. Those Durgam people, the Madhbandi, Nimvit, the Mudas, the fools, just by one push, they will break, just like an earthen pot. And can you put the earthen pot together? Darar to aayegi na. Even if you try to fix it, you have to fix it with gold or glue or whatever. Can it become perfect again? It can't. So that is the difference between the sadhus and sajjan people and the durgam people. Durgam logon mein aur sajjan sadhu janon mein yehi farak hai. Yehi antar hai. They have a big heart because they do not associate an action with a person. They do not associate or they do not give so much importance to a human body. They do not have karta bhav and doerships themselves. They say, jab main karta nahi hu, I am not the doer, things are happening through me. He who is sitting in front is also not the doer, things are happening through him. So suppose something which he has said has hurt me, we should say, okay, separate the person. I did not like this thing that happened. It's okay. But that does not mean you hate the person. It's very difficult, I know. But this is the right way to think. And this will make your life so beautiful and easy. The minute you look at the sin and not the sinner, you look at the sin and not the sinner. You say, okay, I'll hate the sin and not the sinner. You separate these two. Bas, life becomes beautiful. Arjun has not been able to do that. He has not been able to separate the actions from the people. First, he has lost track that this is a dharma yudh. It is not the yudh for land or property or for prestige. No. Krishna is supporting this yudh because this battle because it is supposed to be a dharma yudh. Third, all these people he is looking at saying they are my relations. If he changes his vision and says, everybody is divine, everybody is related to me, I am also divine, they are also divine, there would be love but not attachment. And when you know that yes, everybody is the divine, right? You are not thinking about his relationship with me, you will be able to operate without any bias. A doctor is unable to operate on his son. Why? Because he says, this is my son. He is my blood relation. At the same time, the same doctor can operate effortlessly at this another person, same age, same condition, and come out victorious. And even if something happens to that person, his hands won't shiver. Why? Because of attachment. ये जो shivering हो रही है ना अर्जुन की, it is because of attachment. He has not moved beyond the deha buddhi. We have to live in this world remembering that we are the witness. The minute we associate ourselves with the body, the problem starts. So 3 major errors which Arjun ji made, and because of which his arguments are baseless, because the foundations of those arguments are false. You're not the body, nobody is blood related, everybody is a witness, everybody is that divine. Second, it is a dharmyudh. Third, the battle is not being fought because of meager things. And hence, so you should not hate what was done, but you should not hate, or you should condemn because of dharma, but not hate the people. So all these 3 things were baseless. And Arjun, because his foundations were baseless, he got shaken up. And because he got shaken up, based on those foundations, he is giving wrong reasons. And he thinks he is generous, he thinks he is kind, he thinks he's so great. And many people who read this might think he's so great, he's willing to give away everything for the love of his people, to safeguard them. Nahi, aisa nahi hai. He's not giving up anything, he's not generous, he's not great. Over here, his entire premise, entire perspective is wrong, which is making him a coward. He is not able to uphold to his duties, his dharma. And that is wrong. And therefore, Shri Krishna is not answering. He is just listening to the foolish arguments that Shri Arjun is giving. Now today, we looked at it from the external point of view, right? Physical point of view, stool point of view, the tangible point of view. These 2 verses in the next session, we'll discuss them in a subtle point of view also. Abhi, we took the battle of Kurukshetra outside, where there were 2 armies, there were relationships, everything. The sansar was there. The entire battle of Kurukshetra is also happening within us. The battle between our vices and our virtues, our desires and our expectations. And that analysis is the adhyatmic analysis of any granth. That we'll do in the next session. In the same depth, these 2 verses we'll analyze from the adhyatmic point of view. That is the beauty of our scriptures. Be it in any situation, in any state of mind, if you read the verses, you can derive whatever you want to from it. However, the best bit about Arjun is, he is talking to Shri Krishna. He has not negated the presence of the Divine Lord. And when your assumptions and interpretations and your takeaways from the verses can get diluted, and then they can be detrimental. But when you have the Lord in mind, when you keep the Lord in the center of all your studies, all your analysis, divinity within it, your interpretation will never go wrong. Geeta is a human manual. It teaches us how to live our lives. It cannot be very shallow. It cannot be petty. It is one of the deepest and the subtlest granth. And we have to try and understand it like the subtlest of all. So we'll keep doing this. We'll do the external analysis and then we'll move inward and do the internal analysis. And more so in this chapter. And why? Because this is introspective. With every verse, we have to stop and introspect. Every verse we have to stop and introspect and make points. Okay, this is where I stand. This is what I do. This is self-analysis. Chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita is self-analysis. That is why Shri Krishna is not talking yet. He is letting you analyze yourself. Letting you analyze to the greatest depth. And when you feel the need for guidance, when you feel that yes, there is something not correct in the way we are leading our lives, if you feel that there is something that has to be made, then only we should go to chapter 2. If you feel nahi, hum to kuch galat kar hi nahi rahe, sab sahi hai, sab अच्छे से जी रहे, तो फिर that Gita is useless, that you don't want to make any changes. And if with that mindset, if you enter Gita, you won't understand anything also. What did Shri Krishna do? He broke Arjun. Arjun was very full of himself because of his tapasya, because of his... He was a divine sadhak. He was no ordinary person. Very full of himself, very full of his beliefs, very full of his self-esteem. Pura bharawa ghada tha. And that is why there was a misconception, a wrong notion of strength. And when Sri Arjun threw a pebble, and the 20th was saying, Sab tumhare hi hai Arjun, nuksan tumhara hi hona hai. His ego broke. Now his ego started cracking. So when, unless and until you empty yourself, will the Lord be able to fill anything in you? No. That is the problem. So in chapter 1, before we move to chapter 2, we have to empty ourselves. Let it take as long as it has to. Write and write and write. Read. Analyze. Introspect as much as you can. Fix every day, fix some time. Have a diary and introspect. Not the situation, not the people, not your condition. Understand yourself. We are humans. The most important instrument has been given to us. And this is the only sadhan we have for realizing the divine. And we are misusing this sadhan so much. Bhav Sagar par abhi isi समय हो सकता है. But ये this instrument, the human birth, is very important. Do you feel कि human birth is being misused? Unless and until you feel that, there is no point going on with Gita. Until you feel that improvement can be made. So this is not a listening session where it's a feel-good listening session. No. It is not a feel-good listening session. It is a study, and it is the study of the self. It is study of me. Who is me? मैं कौन हूँ? कोहब. What is my purpose? Until the end of Gita, we will reach Sohab. But till you ask Kohab, the doorways to reach Sohab will not open. कहते हैं ना, बुरा देखन मैं चला, बुरा न दिखया कोई, जब मन झाका आपना, मुझसे बुरा न कोई. बुरा देखन मैं चला, बुरा न दिखया कोई, जब मन झाका आपना, मुझसे बुरा न कोई. जिस दिन ये एहसास हो जाए ना, you are fit to walk on the path of Gita. So, we'll continue these 2 verses in the next session. We'll chant and then we'll end the class. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Prathamodhyayah Arjun Vishad Yogaha Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Babakah Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvat Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharya Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Bravit पश्यैतां पाण्डुपुत्राणामाचार्य महतीं च भूम् व्यूढां द्रुपदपुत्रेण तव शिष्येण धीमता अत्र शूरा महेश्वासा भीमार्जुनसमायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथः धृष्टकेतुश्चेकितानः काशीराजश्च वीर्यवान् पुरुजित्कुन्तिभोजश्च शैब्यश्च नरपुङ्गवः युधामन्युश्च विक्रान्त उत्तमौजाश्च वीर्यवान् सौभद्रो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्व एव महारथाः अस्माकं तु विशिष्टाये तान्निबोध द्विजोत्तम नायका मम सैन्यस्य संज्ञार्थं तान् ब्रवीमि ते भवान् भीष्मश्च कर्णश्च कृपश्च समितिञ्जयः अश्वत्थामा विकर्णश्च सौमदत्तिस्तथैव च अन्ये च बहवः शूरा मदर्थे त्यक्तजीविताः नानाशस्त्रप्रहरणाः सर्वे युद्धविशारदाः अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितम् पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम् अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागमवस्थिताः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि तस्य सञ्जनयन हर्षं गुरुवृद्धः पितामहः सिंहनादं विनत्योच्चैः शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान् ततः शङ्खाश्च भैर्यश्च परमानकगोमुखाः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत् ततः श्वैतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महती स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदद्मतुः पाञ्चजन्यं हृषीकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्खं भीमकर्मावृकोदरः अनन्तविजयं राजा कुन्तीपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः नकुलः सहदेवश्च सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ काश्यश्च परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः धृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्चापराजितः द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथिवीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहुः शङ्खाद्दद्मुः पृथक् पृथक् सघोषो धार्तराष्ट्राणां हृदयानि व्यदारयत् नभश्च पृथिवीं चैव तुमुलो व्यनुनादयन् अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यमिदमाह महीपते अर्जुन उवाच सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत यावदेतान्निरीक्षेऽहं याधुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यमस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे योत्स्यमानानवेक्षेऽहं य एतेऽत्र समागताः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धे युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्तो हृषीकेशो गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम् भीष्मद्रोण प्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्यैतान् समवेतान् कुरून्निति तत्रा पश्यत् स्थितान् पार्थः पितॄन्नथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातॄन् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा श्वशुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि तान् समीक्षस्य कौन्तेयः सर्वान् बन्धूनवस्थितान् कृपया पर्याविष्टो विषीदन्निदमब्रवीत् अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेमं स्वजनं कृष्ण युयुत्सुं समुपस्थितम् सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति वेपतुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाढीवं श्रंसते हस्त्वा त्वक्चैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण न च राज्यं सुखानि च किं नो राजेन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा येषामर्थिकाङ्क्षितं नो राज्यं भोगः सुखानि च त इमेव स्थिता युद्धे प्राणां त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्यः पितरः पुत्रस्तेव च पितामहा मातुलः श्वशुरः पौत्राः शालाः सम्बन्धिनस्तथा एतान् हन्तुमिच्छामि घ्नतोऽपि मधुसूदनः अपि त्रैलोक्यराजस्य हेतो किं नु मही कृते ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे अर्जुनविषादयोगो नाम प्रथमोऽध्यायः हरि ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओं श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 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 राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की बोलो बजरंग बली की जय जय श्री राम जय श्री कृष्ण।